We are now into day 4 lessons. We're going to finish algebraic fractions on our videos today, and we are also going to talk about systems of linear quadratic equations. So we're going to do for topic A a little bit more on adding or subtracting algebraic fractions, but this time the denominators are not like each other like we did in the previous video, but they're also polynomial denominators, okay? And this piece right here is extremely crucial. You must factor the denominators before you find your LCD. It's so important, okay? So let's look at question number 1. All right, so number 1, I'm going to rewrite this fraction right here so that it has a factored denominator. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So it's going to look like this: 1 over y plus 4 times y plus 1, all right, minus 3 over 5 times y plus 1. Now remember, your LCD is going to include everybody in it. So if I were to write out my LCD, I have to make sure that I cover everybody in each one of these expressions right here. So that means that I have to have a y plus 4 in my LCD, okay? So my LCD will definitely have y plus 4 in it, okay? I must have a y plus 1, all right? I must have this 5 right here, and then I don't need to include y plus 1 because it's already included in my LCD. So that means that I can go ahead and change all of my fractions so that they work for me to have this denominator that we want. All right, sorry about that. So this is going to say y plus 4, and this is going to say y plus 1, and this is a y. All right, so my first denominator, I need to multiply it by 5 over 5 to get this common denominator that we're looking for. My second denominator, I need to multiply it by y plus 4. All right. So that means my whole denominator will now be 5 times y plus 4 times y plus 1. Okay? And then when I multiply these guys together, I get 5 right here. And then when I do this right here, I'm just going to write it out first so that it's easier. Minus 3 times y plus 4. Do not forget to distribute that negative. Okay? So this ends up being 5 minus 3y minus 12 over 5 times y plus 4 times y plus 1. And again, you're not allowed to cancel these 5's out because of the subtraction sign right here. Okay? So then you just have to combine like terms, and you end up getting negative 3y minus 7 all over 5 times y plus 4 times y plus 1. And then there's nothing that you can combine together in this example, or excuse me, there's nothing you can cancel out in this example, so that's your final answer. Okay, so let's look at number 2 together. In number 2, the first thing you're going to try to do is see if you can factor your denominators. But your denominators are already as factored as they possibly can be. They're completely, they're prime. I can't do anything else with them. So my LCD needs to make sure to include this x right here and this x plus 5 right here. So my LCD will just be x times x plus 5. Okay? So now what I need to do is I'm going to rewrite my fractions so that they work for me. So I've got 7 over x plus 6 over x plus 5. All right. So the first fraction I'm going to multiply by x plus 5, right? Don't forget your parentheses. Over x plus 5. And then the second fraction I'm going to multiply by x over x. So I end up getting, when I distribute this through, 7x plus 35 plus, this turns into 6x all over x times x plus 5, all right? And then I'm going to combine my like terms, and I end up getting 13x plus 35 all over x times x plus 5. I can't do anything more with this. This is not factorable. Nothing can cancel, so this is my final answer right here. All right. Last question we're going to do in this topic is question number 4. Before we move on, you're going to need to write small so that you can get through this question with enough room on your paper, just to give you a heads up. Now, be really careful. Remember, we said you must factor your denominators. Sorry, I didn't mean to cross that off. You must factor the denominators before you do anything else, okay, if they're factorable, and they are. So in question number 4, I'm going to rewrite each fraction with a factored denominator. So the first fraction that we have is going to be 2 over x plus 2 times x minus 2, okay? And then the second fraction that we have is going to be 1 over, there's a GCF, so I'm going to factor out the GCF. Okay, now it's so much easier to find the LCD once you actually have that those denominators factored. So the first factor that we're going to include in our denominator is x plus 2. Okay, the second factor is x minus 2. Remember, your LCD wants to include everyone. Your third factor is x. All right. And then I already have x plus 2 in my LCD, so I don't need to include that anymore. Okay, so I found my LCD. Now I have to just go through and multiply everything by what's missing. So this denominator, in order for it to look like this denominator, for it to look like this LCD, I need to include that x in there. So I'm going to multiply by x over x, okay? And then this denominator is missing this x minus 2 term. So I'm going to multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2, okay? So that means that my whole new fraction right here is going to have x times x plus 2 times x minus 2 in my denominator. And in my numerator, this turns into 2x. And then do not forget to distribute this negative 1 right here to everybody, okay? So negative 1 times x becomes negative x, and negative 1 times negative 2 becomes positive 2. Combining your like terms, you end up getting x plus 2 over x times x plus 2 times x minus 2. You are allowed to cancel this factor with this factor. Remember, you still have a 1 left over in your numerator, so your final answer is 1 over x times x minus 2. Okay?